Okay, so the second part of our rigging a character here today, we built a custom rig. Let me kind of hide our model here. We built ourselves a custom rig, and that should fit our character absolutely perfect, kind of like a glove here. And you can download this file and start along with me. It may or may not be quite exactly like the one that we built in the rig. This is one that I had kind of done before, since I forgot to save the one that we were working on for the previous tutorial, but it should be close. And we can actually rig this character or skin this character now, so that in the future all we have to worry about is animating the bones, and we can get to having the fun stuff. So here we go. We've got our cat rig set up here. And you can download this one if you don't want to go through the building custom rig tutorial and you just want to understand and learn skinning. This one should be on the website right underneath the video, so that you can download the file and start and kind of go along with me here. I'm going to again unhide here our actual character. Here's our actual skin, and you can see how this is going to be just brilliantly simple, hopefully, as far as what we had to do in the past with biped, because the bones fit the character absolutely like a glove. It's one of the most important things here. What we've got here is we've got just an editable poly character, no mesh smooth, no nothing, right? We always want to start with core. We can always add our smooths on afterward for a character, an organic character like this, to kind of smooth out the polygonal results. If you're making characters for games, you'd never probably add a smooth or anything like that, but for film and television and movies, you would. What we're going to do is kind of come over here to our Modify tab. The character's name is just body for right now, and we're going to add on to this original polygon character a modifier called Skin here. So we're going to find Skin in the list. And the skin modifier, it used to be kind of clunky, but I think it works a lot better nowadays. And we've got some more control over individual points and such. Here's what our skin modifier control panel dialog here looks like. Right off the bat, we've got this giant edit envelopes button, which will become important as we make sure the skin functions properly. What we want to start with down here is our bones, where we've got a nice long list of nothing in it quite yet. A nice blank stack here, and we've got this really cool little add button here. So what we're going to do is click add. A select by list should appear. Guy pelvis is what I have named this character's hub bone, original pelvis structure. Just in case, we want to be able to go up to our select menu here and make sure that select children is turned on, and with bones and stuff. That way, if we click the main parent button, which is usually our pelvis, it'll select all of the other bones there as well. So as long as there's a check mark next to that, that's perfect. And then all we have to do is select guy pelvis, and anything that is linked to should go along with it. Now, go ahead and hit select all of the bones. We can go ahead and make sure in this list, and everything that starts out with cat, save for the fact that I renamed the pelvis and nothing else here. So everything says cat rig. We've got no extras in there, and we're good to go, I believe. Let's just make sure our leg platforms may have gotten in there, and I don't want those in there. Let's see. Anything linked there? If we see leg platform, leg 1, leg 2. Okay, I think we're good. Always a good idea just to double check and make sure that it doesn't get anything extra that you may have linked to the bones, eyes, a hat, hair, teeth, tongues, anything that you want to kind of turn around with the skeleton as he turns his head and all, that we might have linked to the head bone for good animation. We don't want those in there, so we can go through and get them and click the remove button by selecting and just clicking on that remove. It'll get rid of it. Once this has happened, it should have already immediately kind of looked at all these bones and tried its best to get it to work. So what I like to do is immediately kind of try the limbs and such. So I grab this foot leg pad here, and check it out. Already our character is pretty good. We've got some problems here, right? Because when I move my leg, I'm not sure I want the torso to go with it. So we've still got some work to do. But honestly, because we built those bones so well that fit this character perfectly, our work has now minimized quite a bit. See if I select our character's arm here. And there you see it's controlling the chest a little bit too much maybe, but it's not terrible. We've pretty much got a pretty decent result right off the bat. So what we're going to do now is work on the envelopes here and the vertices as to which bones control what vertices on this mesh. We do that by kind of coming back to our Modify tab, selecting our skin modifier. If you pop open the sub-objects here, you'll see envelope in there. We can turn that on or just select that envelope the same as if we hit the Edit Envelope button, and that'll start our Edit Envelopes process so that we can kind of get this skin moving and taken care of. Right off the bat, we've got some pill-shaped envelopes. These are our envelopes here, these red lines out to the top here, and we can move, shrink, I should say, and scale some of these envelopes at certain points to shrink how much they are in control of. Right? Let me select this envelope and kind of pull that in, and we can get some better control that way. Or the way I like to do it a little bit more is by putting a checkbox in this vertice button, because it gives me absolute control over the smallest of the sub-objects, and assigning weights or unassigning weights using some of the other tools in here. So what we've done is we've turned on vertices here, which allows me to select the vertices of the mesh as well as an envelope at the same time. So let's say, I would like to start from the toe here. I'm going to select my toe here, and there are certain things that I really want to be fully controlled by this bone, and there are some vertices that I want to be not controlled by this bone. If I want him to wiggle his toes, I don't want his whole foot to wiggle with it. So what I'm going to do is on this side, I'm going to scroll down here until I see the weight properties. And this is my favorite little number here. It's the absolute effect number. So with this toe bone, what I want to move fully with it is the ends of this toe bone. What I want to move partially would be the link between the foot bone and the toe bone here. How this works is as you select it, you'll see this rainbow color. I'll select another one here real quick. Anything that is a hotter color or a warmer color, dark red would be 100% control. Orange would be up there in the 80s, 90s, and maybe high 70s control. Yellow gets to your low 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, kind of in the mid-range control. And then blue is almost nothing, and then nothing is definitely nothing. So here's how we're going to work this. I'm going to select an envelope first, start with my toe, and then after I've selected an envelope, I can select vertices on the actual mesh itself. For this case, I want to select all the vertices at the very, very edge of this toe bone. And over here under my absolute effect number, there we go, I'm going to put in a 1 and hit the Enter key. You'll see them change bright red. 1 is 100% effect. In other words, when that toe bone moves, the front of this skeletal structure here, the toe, is going to move with it absolutely 100%. Likewise, all this blue stuff back here in the middle of the foot, I don't want it to kind of twitch when he wiggles his toes, so I'm going to select all these vertices, and I'm going to put in 0, Enter, which should kind of eradicate them from this. The toes in between, they're probably pretty good enough as they are. Anything yellow and orange is probably what I want, so that they kind of get pulled a little bit by the toe bone and a little bit by the foot bone, just so our skin ends up being a little bit more flexible. And then I'll move on from there. I might actually jump over here and do the other toe bone while I'm here, and same thing. Select that toe, put a 1 in my absolute effect number, and hit Enter to make it official. And then I'll select anything that I don't want it to do, and go ahead and hit 0. Eventually, I'll get into some of these vertices where I'm going to want to define, especially around the finger areas, exactly how much, 50%, 40%, 30%, whatever, that I do want these things pulling. But for now, we're just going to kind of go up one leg here. This is looking fairly decent, right? Because I put 1 on these toe bones, it's all controlled by that toe bone, so it would have zeroed it out for me, hopefully. Our foot bone is here, good. What I don't want it to kind of move would be this back of his heel here. I want that controlled by all of the ankle bone. I don't want it to kind of move. Those aren't very flexible. And I also want to kind of select everything from the where the foot connects to the leg and up. My character is a little wonky here. I'll fix that version for you guys, I'm sure. So if you don't see that little kind of bend, just go with it. For now, great. I want to select, and I can select any and all of these. Some of these other fun, bones. Sometimes you'll see them kind of reaching the leg. That's why we kind of try to spread our legs apart in modeling, so we don't get some blue or some orange and yellow over here from the bone over here. But I've selected everything I see that's got color here that I don't want it to have. So I'll put a 0, enter in there. And then I'll kind of let this other stuff ride as because our bones were so well made that we've got pretty good. What I may do is if I want this middle portion here to be completely controlled by the foot bone, which I probably do, I could select them all and go ahead and put that 1.0 in there. And now those bones are completely controlled by the foot bone and not the toe at all and not the ankle at all. So when he lifts his foot or curls his whole foot back, nothing happens with these bones. They kind of stay that same shape, nice and solid. Next I'll move on to the ankle here, and the ankle I don't want it to control anything past that entrance to the foot bone there, so I can put a 0 in for that whole area. I also don't want my ankle to control anything above where that leg and everything connects. So I can kind of put a 0 in there as well. I can always back out and make sure none of the other bones are kind of listening to this. And I have to kind of watch that maybe I don't get too many extra bones up here while I'm doing this. And it looks pretty good for right now, but I can select maybe all of these guys, not these ones. I'm just kind of holding control and selecting and hitting Alt to unselect some of these vertices. And maybe I want, just to make that anchor, that heel kind of stay solid, I can kind of put all those to a 1.0 and work from there. Moving on up the leg. Here we are, we're starting to get a little bit of what I was telling you about a moment when the legs come together here. You'll start to notice that sometimes these envelopes creep over onto the other side. And again, I can take that envelope and just kind of move it in to shrink it and solve some of those problems. And if that works great for you, fine right off the bat, use it. You can kind of pull. There we go. But we're still going to have some work to do. So honestly, I kind of like to work from the vertices a little bit more. But I know a lot of good artists that use these envelopes very successfully. So try those kind of first, and then do your weights for your vertices here. Let's select that whole foot just to be on the safe side, and 0 enter. Looks like I missed a couple in here, so I can hit Control, select those, enter 0. The middle, his calf, I want that to be completely controlled by the leg bone. Your calf doesn't stretch too much when you wiggle your toes, so I can put in a 1.0 just to make sure everything's solid there. My crooked, I made the feet bigger when I was modeling this guy and forgot to push him back. That's the only reason that happened. But I'll probably fix that for your guys' version just so that you don't have that ugliness of my mistake there. And then, all the links between these yellows and oranges I tend to leave alone because they looked pretty good when I first moved the character. Right, if I kind of come down, turn off my envelopes and kind of select and move this guy, he should be moving pretty good, right? Not too shabby. We don't have a ton of work to do with this. Let's move on up here. Next one. Make sure I got that good. Again, I can kind of start with an envelope here and kind of pull that in to get rid of any of that extra stuff over there to that leg, as well as maybe some of that torso and everything, but we're still going to have to worry about a little bit of these. That's fine. We've got our vertices turned on, so I kind of want to, maybe, yeah, I don't want any of that, so I'm just going to kind of, some of these other ones that don't have anything affected on there, that's fine, because I'm going to zero it out anyway. And I'm going to select everything that I don't want to be controlled by that thigh bone there. Some of these up in here is fine yellow. I like that. I like a little bit of flexibility, but we don't want, when I move my leg to have his side move with it. That's terrible. Likewise, the stuff in the middle here, I don't want to be controlled by anything else at all. So I'm going to select all the way around these two rings of vertices, and I'm going to give them a 1.0 go ahead. And that way when I move that bone, it only controls what's yellow and red and orange here. Okay? At about this point, I'd probably go through and do the rest of these bones as well. I can grab the middle vertices here, 1 enter, and grab anything I don't want to be controlled on this foot at all by that foot bone, and I'm just zeroing those out. Good. We'll go up the ankle on this one now. Again, I don't want my ankle to control my toes at all, so I'm going to select all of these guys up front, zero those out. Likewise, everything up here I want to zero out. And just to be double sure that the form of that heel stays put, I can say the ankle bone controls 100% of that. I may have to use my undo button here because I grabbed too many if I'm not paying attention. Know that Control Z works a little fussy, so when you do your undo, you may have to use the actual undo buttons up here at the top left of your screen. And then we'll kind of work our way up the thigh and do kind of the same thing that we did on the other one. Tedious, but effective. Good. Again, with the thigh, we'll have a few that we want to just get rid of, as well as up here. And then the ones in the center here, we definitely want to 1.0 control there. Go up to his thigh here. Again, I can kind of control some of this with this and get it away from that leg completely here. Won't always work completely, so we go towards our vertex and we say 0, no, don't follow that bone. Go up here to this side here, and I want that to be kind of controlled by the pelvis and the spine. So we'll select all of those. Leave some of this stuff in here for the leg because we want a little bit of that flexibility. 0, enter, good. And again, this thigh, as this is repeat, I'll just go through it quick here. Control, select all these vertices, and we'll say in the middle there, I want you to be 100%. Kind of make sure they look like they're matching. It looks everything's good there. Our pelvis bone doesn't control much, but we do have some things that we want it to control, as well as some things like up here that we don't want it to control. So I can say 0 those out and just get kind of around here. That might actually work pretty good as far as concerned. Move on up the spine. And I want this stuff down here to not be controlled at all by our spine. We don't want to bend over at the spine and have our legs move, right? As well as this kind of stuff here maybe should be more controlled by the legs and the pelvis. So all the way down and around here I might select these and 0 those out as well. Likewise, this stuff up here, I don't think I want that being controlled by the lower spine. So we can give him more of a bendy feel there. On the spine, I don't want to go red here. I think orange and yellows are fine. I might 0.65 some of these, but I think that should be okay as he twists and bends. I can always turn off my envelopes and select that bone in there, or let's see, the chest works pretty good with the cat rig, and kind of lean him over and make sure everything's moving pretty good. So see, my yellow and oranges are actually okay because there's a lot of pulling and stretching with the skin and the muscle stuff up in here that we're pretty good with here. Go back to our envelopes, turn those on like that, and we've got the chest bone selected. Let's go to this one here. We were next down, I think. Yep, good. This middle spine, again, I don't want it to control anything at all on our arms or our upper chest or our head or our legs, or our lower pelvis down here at all. And you can kind of tell where, all this blue stuff, we probably don't need it controlling. Some of this stuff that maybe the chest or the arms should be controlling more of, we can go through and kind of select. Just to make sure. Then we can put a 0 in there, 0, enter, and get rid of it. And leave those nice yellow oranges in there only. Sometimes you can see that something's not catching right. If I select this one, we've got about a 0.25 there, so I can match that and say 0.24, 0.25, and kind of make sure these get evened out all the way around. Otherwise, you get things that look like they're pulls and pinches, and we don't want that either. All right, good. And some of these envelopes can be tough to see, so you really have to look for these bars on the inside here, these dark gray ones, as we go through this. Select them individually, and then make sure that one of those is selected, and then all the vertices you want can be selected at the same time. I don't want any of this stuff for the arm, probably all the way up to the chest. Are we on the chest? We are on the chest. Good. So I'm just going to kind of select all this stuff that I want to be controlled mostly by the arm. We'll see how this looks. I'm going to unselect the ring, the first ring where his arm kind of starts, and we'll see where we're at there. Everything this way and forward I don't want. Definitely, and the same around this opposite arm. And just for good measure, we'll get that hand in there too. Why not? And then the head. I don't want anything being pulled. I don't want his jaw to be pulled by his chest when he moves his chest or his spine there. So I think all these things around the neck, starting about there, we'll say no to as well. And we can maybe leave a couple of these guys in here, but a ring where it really kind of is clear that it's neck and head, we'll get rid of. Put a 0 in there and enter. And we'll leave the chest for now. We might have to come back to it depending on how the arms and shoulders kind of interact with it. Our shoulders here, you can build these shoulders if you actually want him to kind of move his shoulders a little bit more. I think on this character, I'm not even going to worry about them. So if I select these shoulder bones, select all of these vertices that are part of it and say, don't have the shoulder bones worry about that. We'll worry about it with the chest and the arms. But again, that's personal preference. You really can get the shoulders and some good movements in there with the shoulders if you put them to work as well and kind of move them around. You can kind of shuffle his shoulders. But we're doing kind of a simple skinning here, so we'll keep it that way. Up to his neck. Again, I don't want his neck controlling anything that's in these blue areas pretty much at all. So I can select all of these vertices, and we'll get rid of the weighting on those as well. Also, again, if I bend my neck, I don't want his head going with it at all. His head's pretty solid, so we want them to retain shape perfectly as far as the head's concerned. So all the way down to the neck, we'll get rid of all those as well. 0 enter to get rid of them. The neck I'll leave nice and yellow orangey like that. That's going to be pretty good. And we'll move on up to the head. Now the head, very important, right? You don't want him to turn his body and it pulls on his chin at all. Likewise, if he turns his head, I don't want his chest and spine and arms to get pulled at all. So what I like to do first off and foremost is select everything that I want as the head to be completely undeformable, unless we're working with, say, our morpho targets or something and getting them to talk and facial expression and stuff like that. But the bones on this guy aren't going to have anything like that. He didn't even have a mouth. He's kind of a mannequin just for this example. And I want to 1.0 make them all entirely red. Likewise, you know, it can have some control over the neck, so when he turns his head, it kind of flexes and stretches. But anything down here in the chest area or the arms, I want to say no to. So I'm going to go ahead and select all the vertices in there, completely all the way around there, and say 0, enter, and get rid of them. I'll leave the neck for now until we test our rig again, which, you know, maybe we can do right now. I'll turn my envelopes off, select the head bone there, and turn his head. See, there's a little too much in here, I think, right now. So we might have to go back in there. Yeah, I don't want that to happen, right? Only his head to control that completely. This is all looking pretty good. You know, another test would be I can kind of grab this bone here, Alt-X, and bend forward so we can maybe see how that's looking. Our invis isn't working very good, so what else I can do is kind of click that and right-click, hide that bone completely so that I can actually see what his belly's doing there. And I like that. That's looking pretty decent. Perfect. I'll go unhide by name, and we'll say all those things we can unhide there again. And, you know, just while we're testing, we might as well make sure everything else is looking pretty slick. I like that. Make sure the other way works about the same. Good. Oh, very nice, very nice. All right, back to our skin, our envelopes, and now we've got this chest here. Looks like he's got there, so I want to make sure that says 1.0 maybe. I don't want the middle of his chest being pulled by anything else either. That's good to be red in the center. Could have fade off to that yellow, orangey color all the way down. Next, we've got our arms to worry about, right? We've got a little bit of a mess in this arm here. I want his bicep to be completely controlled, 100%, all the way around by about there, as well as his tricep at the back. And I want to kind of unselect, so I'll go Alt. These ones, I want to be 1.0, right? I also want it so that none of this stuff over here is pulled by that arm. Maybe under the arm a little bit can be okay, but the rest of this, no way. As well as his forearm over here. All the stuff that where his forearm and hand should be, I want to zero that out. Zero, enter, good. And we'll try his arm and everything here in a little bit, just to make sure. But that looks okay for now. Onto his forearm envelopes, we select that gray line in the middle there. And same thing, this forearm where I want it to be pretty solid shape. I want to select all those and probably 1.0. Yellow orange between bones, between wrist, between upper arm is fine, but I don't want anything in the hand at all, fingers, hand, nothing, to be controlled by our forearm as it moves and bends. I don't want it to kind of get pulled. So I want to kind of, the wrist is fine, so we'll get rid of that one. Make sure that I got only hand and fingers and zero those out completely as well. So that something in here doesn't slightly get pulled by something way back here. Alright, next hand over. Okay, his hand is a little tricky here because we want him to go up to the knuckle and up to the joint here, but no more. So this red stuff over here on the side of his hand is great. Let's kind of unselect his fingers there. And everything I want to be controlled by the hand, not his thumb. And probably I don't want to change the yellow-orange that's in here around the top of that thumb where it's going to start moving either. However, everything else, all this interior stuff, not his knuckles up here, but all this interior stuff, I can actually go ahead and say 1.0. His hand should be followed by that hand bone. Good. Down to his thumb. Again, when he wiggles his thumb, I don't want this stuff up here at all to be affected. Likewise, when he wiggles the top of his thumb or moves by the top of his thumb, I don't want the tips of his fingers to be pulled at all. Let's see, what are these joints up here? We've got those zeroed out. I want this one, maybe this one. What's that one at? 0.4. I kind of want to give this one, and this one a little bit of give. Maybe even as far as up here and down here. And we can kind of maybe 0.4 those as well. And then the rest controlled by that hand, just so it gives a little bit of that flexibility. All these ones further down by the joint. You know, maybe this one, and even this one. Maybe they can be more like 0.6 as we go down, right? The one that connects to the next thumb bone, looks like I only got one long bone in there for this one. I want to be shared pretty well. So maybe, right, 0.5 them out as well here. 6, 0.4, 0.6, 0.5. Down at the end of his thumb, all this stuff up here, I don't want it to have anything to do with it. But we're going to get a lot of this with our fingers because they're all so close together and there's just no avoiding that. So I'm going to zero those top ones out. These guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, should really be at about 0.5. And we may have to come back to those depending on what these other fingers and stuff are doing by pulling them. But these very tips of the fingers, we want those at a 1.0, all red, so that if I wiggle the tip of my finger, that's always going to stay that same shape, rather than if I try to bend my finger and it's being controlled a little bit by this one, we'll get some pull in there and it'll look bad. Okay, there's our thumb. Down to the fingers here. I'll start with the tips of the fingers just because that one's always a little easier. Tip of the finger here. I want nothing on the side fingers over here on the other side, and nothing up here at the top. So I'm just kind of control and dragging selections around all this stuff that I just don't want it to worry about. 0, enter those, and then all we have to deal about is where it should be controlling, right? And I like to grab the tip of the finger, make sure that I don't get anything else selected when I do that. And I'm going to put a 1.0 in there at the tip of the finger. Up here in the center, same idea, only we're getting a little bit more crowded here, right? So I want to select all these guys, control, drag, and select. And those I'll worry about in a moment here, because we're going to kind of do something else with those. Zero out the other side of the other fingers and everything else that's working on this one. This middle bone, right? I want, let's say these guys on its side. We've got this kind of a you know, try in here that kind of will hopefully stretch and expand a little bit with each of the other bones. But all the way around here towards the bottom, and then these 2, 3, 4 here. So let's unselect these guys at the bottom. They're going to do something different. But these two up here, why not like a 0.65? So they have a little bit more control by this middle bone, but a little bit on this bone as well. And then these guys out here, we can give up to the rest of it, 0.35. So that this bone controls a little bit of these ones, but this middle one controls a little bit of those ones. This one controls 0.65 more. If I select this one again, these ones, 1 and 2, should hopefully show at about 0.65. 2. These two up here at about 0.35. And that should hopefully take care of some of these other bones in here are kind of trying to pull a little bit of value from these guys. So hopefully doing it between these two bones can kind of solve that issue. 0.35. If I select over here, you know, I may have to come back and forth and fight with this a little bit because we still got some fingers doing some crazy things. In fact, a smart move might be for me to kind of go through all of these bones and do the unselection stuff first. So I can grab all the stuff that I don't want, let's say this finger to be dealing with. Not that one, we want that one. And zero them out. Move on to the next one over here, right? And see, it's still trying to fight me on this a little bit, and it's got some control over here that I don't want it to have. So I can zero everything out before I start to add the weights, and that might help me out a little bit. Zero that out, good. Just come in here and get rid of, whoa, wrong envelope. Sometimes that'll happen. You just got to undo. Good, I don't want the middle of the finger to have anything to do with these or the fingers next door. Sorry if my voice is getting a little hoarse on us there. Talking too much. And you know that the middle finger just shouldn't control any of this other stuff here. None of this. Good. Zero that out. You know, honestly, even control and select that. We don't want that selecting the tips at all either. There we go. We'll select this one, and again, just drag out a selection, then hold control and add to it. Little bits here and there. Though we definitely don't. You know, this one I want to control good. This one, no. All of those, and we'll undo what I don't want it to control at all. And we'll fix the what I do want it to control afterward. Again, nothing on any other finger wants to get controlled. If I get something on the body, that's fine. We don't want it to be controlled by this stuff either. If we hit zero, it won't change a thing. So if you wonder why I'm not making sure that, you know, all this stuff that I accidentally get selected on the waistline here, I'm not worried about it because it's already at zero. And if I just tell it to be zero again, it's just going to be like, okay, no problem. Shrug its shoulders. All of that. Okay. Zero that out. Next one down, same thing. Drag a selection initially, then hold control. Select what you don't want. And tip of the finger. Careful you don't drag those envelopes all over the place too. Just click out here if you ever want to unselect everything, clear your selection. Click out here somewhere in our staging area or viewport. And make sure you don't get anything that you actually want to keep there on that finger. I don't want you controlling anything up here or over here. And we're doing pretty good there. Zero that out. Good. Next. The fingers take the longest time to do. It's just a fact. We will spend more time skinning and changing weights on the fingers than anywhere else in the body that was kind of quick and easy, right? There we go. We're almost done with the what I don't want you to control, and then we can get in there on the weights, and that'll help us out a little bit. Oops, you too. There we go. And last one. Last but not least. Here we go. I feel the need to talk while I'm recording, so sorry if I ramble during what may just be fine silent. It might be slightly annoying, but I'll get you skinning just fine. There we go. All of our hands. Then we can come back and make sure that our fingers are all working properly, right? From this first one here. Now if I select these guys and make sure that they're 0.65, they should stay that way. These guys, and say 0.35, they should stay that way. And down here at the bottom where they're fully shared by both bones, I might go with like a 0.5 in there. Select the middle, get these two, and make sure that they say 0.65. Good. This one and this one can be 0.35, kind of splitting the difference. And then if I go back to this bone, right, it should hopefully be close to that. Usually you don't have to fight terribly hard with these. 0.5 on that. Again, on this side, this one and this one should belong to that bone by about 65%. The two down here, only at about 50, so 0.5. And the two over here, they're kind of blue. We want to share those pretty lightly then on 0.35. This side, those same two, 0.35. No, sorry, 0.65 on those guys. And then the two that are shared with the other bone on this side, 0.35. That's how we're doing it. Numbers and me, we don't get along, but you know, we'll work on it. Back to this bone. So I'm still changing them a little bit, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. We want to share these underneath, the triangle ones, by 0.5. And then these guys up here, I think we'll just leave alone. They're at about 0.35 now, shared with the hand. We can up that one a little bit, maybe 0.3. And that's probably pretty good because like this one's going to be shared with the hand and both fingers as to where that webbing kind of meets between the fingers. And we've got pretty decent, right? Bright red at the beginning, and then this yellow to orange all the way through up to the end. Start at the next finger here. I know I want to select all four of those, but I want to be sure that since I saw that behind there, I don't select anything as far as the toes and the feet and the other legs. So I do kind of an alt unselect of everything that was in the way first. I want to do 1.0. Right, nothing else. Good. It should be selected. These two up here, I can give it a 0.65. These two down here, where those triangle points meet, full 50% share between the two bones. That's fine. And then these two that are on the other side should be about a little less, 0.35. Inversely, we got those two still selected. I want those as 0.65s because this middle bone, I want to control more of it like that. These two out here, 0.35. Kind of see the pattern going on here. And then these two connectors, triangle points, share completely half and half, 0.5. Same with the first bone of the finger. 0.65 on there, so on this side, 0.35 on the other side, maybe. And then where it comes to a point where we've only got the one vertex between, a full-on 0.5. Start to see a couple places where my sloppy modeling comes into play there. There, nice orange in the middle to yellow towards between. Red on the end. We're doing good. This guy up here, he's got a little less up here. I know I want to be like maybe 0.3 up in here and in here. Yellow those out and get most of it to the hand. These two closest on its side, 0.65. Get that nice and orange. And then these two on the other side of the finger bone, 0.35. These two shared should be at about 0.5. There we go. And now we can kind of move on to the next finger here. Again, I kind of like to start at the tips of the finger, so I'm going to kind of go back down to here. Right off the bat, because I know I can get these four. Make sure I didn't get anything else selected. And I'm going to 1.0 in our absolute effect to get that red color in there. Good. And now it's starting to kind of go a little bit quicker as we get rid of and make some more final decisions on the weights here. These guys, 0.65 as they kind of get a little closer to the tip of the finger bone rather than the middle. And these two guys at the bottom, they're perfectly kind of shared, so I want to kind of 0.5 them out. And right in the middle, we'll kind of do the opposite. 1, 2, actually get these 3, 4 up here. And we can go with a 0.65 on all those. And then 1, 2, maybe just kind of do this all at once. Oops. And 3, 4. I want that to be controlled by that middle one by about 0.35. All these guys at the center of these triangle tips, I can grab it once and 0.5. So that kind of gold coverage all the way down our finger gives us the best curl when we get to our fingers doing that thing there. Okay, we've got some issues with this one. I want to make sure that this tip of the finger, we don't want anything being controlled down here, kind of like at all. So I can go ahead and zero that out. Likewise, up here at the top here, I want like this one and this one. And we're down by the palms here. What do we have on the other ones? I think I get about 0.3 to 0.35. You know, so just kind of play with it. This guy in here, these two are kind of a little crooked. We want to 0.5 them because they're perfectly shared. These two over here, 0.65 because I want them mostly controlled by this upper bone, but a little bit stretched from the center. And then I can, these two here, 0.35, so that gets a little less control. And then I can just double check, make sure everything's kind of gold all the way down to the end that then turns red. Looks like this is where we had some of that other pull, so I got a little bit of fixing to do. So I go ahead and 0.35 some of these bones out again, just to make sure that we've got the right settings. You might have to go back and forth with this a little bit, as it tends to fight you. If anything else, any other bones is trying to pull at all on these, you end up fighting it a little bit, but if you get into the ballpark, you should be okay. Okay, final finger here. Let's go pretty quickly, right? Pretty quickly for having to do these minute details in all the fingers. There we go. Grab those four. I'm going to 1.0 them out. I'm going to 1, 2, 0.35 those guys. And this, and this. We can 0.5. And this, and this. We can 0.35. I think I got that opposite. These guys down here, I wanted to 0.65, but I 0.35 them. There we go. Gold to orange to yellow. That's what we want to see for every one of these bones. This guy in the center, orangish to yellow on either side, right? So all four of these guys towards the center of this finger, vertices, I can 0.65 them all. These guys on the outer edges, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can come over here in the absolute effect and 0.35 all of them. Likewise down here in the middle where they're shared between both bones equally, I can 0.5 those. Anywhere that I kind of continue to see that it's grabbing that I don't want it to, I can zero that out. Especially like this. That's bad. There we go. And that might help me a couple of these others where I didn't quite get the numbers I wanted, right? I can make sure they are good to go then now. And see where I've got not good. So back and forth a little bit is okay. You might have to fight with it a little, but not near as bad as if all those bones didn't match the body nice and perfectly, right? 1, 2, 0.65. Just kind of fix things. Sorry. Got that backwards again, 0.35. And then these guys, I want them both to be 0.65, not being pulled by another finger somewhere. That should be good. 0.35 good. Top one here, you know, this one and this one. I want to be 0.65 for this guy. This one and this one, 0.35. Make sure they're not pulling. And these triangle points here, fully shared, 0.5. And then towards the end of the hand here, I want to get all these guys. Maybe not these last two. We'll worry about them because they're on the side of the hand. We want to do a little bit extra pull for that finger there. And I'll go ahead and 0.3 them. 0.34 is what I think we had around there. And then these two on the side. And they're at about, that's about right, 0.45, a little extra there, maybe even 0.5. Share that with that hand bone. All right. Again, select, you're going to have to go back a couple of times just to make sure. Now that hand bone is trying to grab once more some of these fingers. And that's just it trying to auto-correct what we were kind of trying to already correct because it wants to grab some of this stuff. It's nearby, and I don't want it to, so I have to kind of go back in a couple of times and sometimes zero that out. Again, no blue. Blue bad, yellow, orange, okay. There we go. And now we can test these guys here, right? If I grab, let's say, let me grab this and I'm gonna freeze that body there so that I don't accidentally grab the skin for right now. If I double click on the bottom joint there, it'll select everything in that chain. And when I do this, yeah, I'm hoping that works. Alt X. Ooh, yeah, wrong one. I can curl that finger nicely now, right? And that thumb, ooh, looking good. And no pulling where it shouldn't pull, looking good. No pulling. There we go. And likewise. Okay, that whole hand is done. Now, I'm going to right click and unfreeze this guy here because we got to go back to our skin. Everything, let's test this arm. It's not pulling terribly. I think something in our bicep here might be pulling a little bit too much down and over here. Nothing good. You. Maybe less, maybe 0.2 or even, yeah. And then you. Maybe 0.2 as well, just so that we get a little bit pull down into there so that our armpit kind of goes with it so it don't overlap. Maybe 0 down here for sure. And even out here, should be more the chest. Right? So we can almost 0.1 to nothing those. Make sure these bones aren't doing anything good. Those bones got a little bit more. Good. Kind of 1.0 that guy. And double check. We can kind of match these guys 0.9 there. Yeah, just for fun there. Okay? Now, once we've done one side of this guy, if you've got a fairly even or symmetrical model, there are some tools that you can use in the skinning envelopes and such, mirror parameters that we can try to copy one side's settings over to the next. Now, I won't guarantee that this is going to work perfectly. In fact, it rarely works great for me whenever I try it. But we can try here. We're gonna go ahead and try and see how this works with us. I'm gonna go to my front view here. And what I'm going to do is turn on mirror mode using this button down here under the mirror parameters. And this button here is going to give me a plane And depending on where I'm mirroring, it usually does a pretty good job. It starts with X since I'm mirroring mine pretty forward. And we've got this planar gizmo that'll show up. And we want to get that pretty much centered, which it looks like it is right on there. So we're good. If it's not, you can use the mirror offset here to move it around. You can use the mirror threshold here to increase the distance that it's going to see. As long as everything's kind of blue and green, you should be okay. I like to raise it up just a little bit there. I'm not sure what it was in the first place, but that's all right. And then you've got several buttons here. We've got a mirror paste here. We've got a paste from green to blue bones. Clearly you can see over here we've got the blue bones on the right-hand side. That's the side that we've already done. So we're going to look around here, and we've got some other things. We've got paste green to blue vertices, etc. I'm going to go ahead with the paste blue to green vertices, and then hit that mirror button. And we'll see what happened here. I'm going to turn off mirror mode, and let's hope that we've got this. Turn off our envelopes, kind of double click. Actually, if I've got this skin, I'm going to kind of freeze him again. Double click those finger bones and we'll see, oh, it looks like it's actually working pretty good. Thank goodness, because it's always nice doing a tutorial and having something not really work very well. And we're looking pretty decent. You may have to come in here and adjust a few things. But overall, see, we don't have any problems at all in our fingers. So that mirror mode paste worked pretty good for us. If I switch over here to kind of local view sometimes, you can pull his thumb in, make a fist. Good job, good deal. And I recommend testing all of these kind of limb functions here just to be on the safe side. Chest, bend, back, forth, good. And then the arms here. Very nice. If that mirror does not work for you as well as it did for me, you'll have to simply rig your character using the same method. You know, just do the other hand with those weights and that absolute value on those vertices. Try his head here. Not too bad. I think I want to come in here and change a little bit on the head as it's pulling a little too far down. I think I said that last time too. So I'm going to right-click, unfreeze, select our character skin again here, and grab the head. And this time I don't want it to do anything all the way down here. I don't like that. Whoops, grabbed the wrong bone there. I don't want to have any control at all whatsoever down here. And what I want to do is come back up to this absolute value and just say 0, thank you very much. And you know, maybe even all the way down here around this bottom ring of the neck, I might want it to control a little bit less at least of this area. So I can come in here and maybe do like 0.2 just to even things out. If I find a vertex like this one, right, I think that should be controlled by the head, so I'll hit a 0.1. And just make sure that all these rainbow colors here that you've got, the red to orange to yellow to blues, all kind of evenly flow, right? And see, now that I've done that, I've got some trouble here. The arm tried to take over, and I don't want that, so I want to go ahead and select everything over here, and again, 0 out. And just kind of go over this a few times, because if you make any changes like that, sometimes another bone tries its best to take over what you undid, and you can end up a little bit messing things up here. That's about what we want, you know. Everything looks smooth from this point forward. Very nice. Just double checking. Nothing wrong with double checking your work. In fact, handing over something that you think is good but didn't double check is risky business. Your client or your teacher may go, "What the hell are you doing?" I know I would with my own students. What's the matter with you? Maybe I wouldn't. Alright, I think, tips of the fingers, we are good to go. So there you have it. Final tests. I can go ahead and let's see, if I freeze this selection here, kind of double click all my bones and x-ray them out. Then I can unfreeze him, maybe add a mesh smooth on top of that to smooth out his rougher edges. I think one will do fine. And you just have to test your character now and get to animating. It's as easy as that. So there we go. Good. Skinning a character after building a cat rig. Looking pretty good. All right. Hope you learned something there. Hopefully this helps you in the future as you make many a character kind of come to life there.